This is James, and he's going to help me review Watchmen.
Oh, by the way, there's spoilers in this one, guys.
Oh, yeah. Which we are about to see. We haven't seen it yet, so we're just going to talk about it before we see it. And talk about what we're excited about and what we're nervous about. And James, would you like to repeat what it is that you're excited and nervous about?
I forgot what I was going to say now. Ending.
The ending.
The ending, I think, is one of those things that's going to be hotly debated.
Yes, definitely. It already has been quite a lot.
Yeah, and to be fair, the fanboys aren't going to like it. We'll, let's face it, more won't like it. But I think the whole idea of an exiled angry god is a beautiful notion. But it's all as long as the spirit of those final scenes are kept in.
Yeah.
That's what's most important.
The important thing, and I've heard Zack Snyder say this as well, the important thing about the ending is not the squid, it's the moral dilemma that the squid poses.
Exactly.
And as long as that moral dilemma is there, then the essence of the story will still be intact.
And it's an external threat. And let's face it, Manhattan's as external as you get. I think it's actually going to complete his story arc a bit as well, because not only is he going from struggling with his own humanity, he's perceived as not human by the end of it. Well, hopefully, if it's pulled off right, which, definitely. Let's face it, is what we're all worried about.
Yeah. Right, so the thing that I'm excited about is I know that it's going to look great, because, as we said earlier, 300 by Zack Snyder was a beautiful, beautiful film. It wasn't a very good film, it wasn't a classic by any means, but it looked absolutely amazing, and from the trailers it's clear that this film is going to look stunning. The thing that I'm nervous about is the acting. Most of the actors seem to have got their characters exactly right. Some of them I'm not so sure about. Malin Ackerman as Silk Spectre might be a bit... Alright, well, so we're both very excited about it, and we'll give a review as soon as we come out of the cinema. As soon as we come out of the cinema and come back here.
See you when we're either extremely we need to see it again at midnight showing, or shit, man, I need to shoot Snyder. Yeah. Take care, guys.
Alright, see ya. Well,
we're back. I think I just saw an excellent adaptation of Dave's artwork. I look forward to seeing an Alan Moore film done by.
But you won't.
I won't, because it's impossible.
The squid.
The squid was not missed, apart from the whole cool perspective of a giant aliens squid thing invading the Earth.
Exactly, that would have been a cool image, but
when you watch the film, there are some concerns which you can address. The squid's not one of them. Manhattan fits perfectly. It helps with his character arc. As a film, it's got some major flaws, which we'll go into.
It has.
But I don't think, when you look at it as an adaptation, the squid missing, not a negative thing at all.
No, exactly. The ending, the ending of the film works. What do we think of the acting?
I thought Silk Spectre was good, and I don't understand what everyone's bitching about.
No, I thought she was good as well. She was really good.
She's second because, let's face it, Rorschach, he got the voice spot on, even though he did suffer from Christian Bale. I need to do the dark superhero voice.
True, but I mean, that's the way it's written in the comic book. The way that the writing is actually written in the comic book, you can't read that any other way than, Rorschach's journal. I mean, that's how it comes out.
Exactly. And I think people need to see this film just to say, wait a second, if Heath Ledger got an Oscar for the Joker, then this guy deserves an Oscar for this.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one of the best performances I've seen in quite a while.
He's a scary motherfucker.
Yeah, but at the same time you feel so much sympathy and so much
pity.
Definitely. He understands the character perfectly. He gets on spot. I've heard someone wrote in a review, he should be redrawn into the comic book, and I actually half agree, because he is Rorschach.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'd argue that he already is drawn into the comic book. One thing that I will say about the acting, and I think this is a point that you made about Dr. Manhattan specifically, Billy Crudup.
The sorrow!
The sorrow!
What's with the sorrow?
Not only that, but there was a lot of underplayed acting. And I think it makes sense because it's such a heavy story and because there's so much kind of doom and gloom in it. At the same time, the fact that the acting is so heavy and sorrowful just means that it does lose a bit of pace. And it just makes it all a bit monotonous, especially in the first half of the film.
Yeah.
The acting is a little bit monotonous.
I mean, one of the things, I think this is one of those script clashing with how the actors interpret the role.
Yeah.
Basically, there's this huge emphasis, and you hear it pretty much, I'm sure in the first act you hear it every like 5 or 6 lines, he's so detached from humanity. Yeah. And it's just like, but wait a second, the guy looks so fucking upset most of the time.
Yeah. Dan Dryberg.
The comedy character, he worked.
Spot on, I think. He's the everyman of the story.
Yeah.
You know, he's lovable, he's a bit bumbling, but he wants to do the right thing, and he's got a good heart, and that was played very well.
Yeah, definitely.
Who haven't we talked about yet?
Ozymandias. Ozymandias, I think... I miss the arrogance.
Yeah, me too.
He needed a bit of arrogance to that role. I mean, for God's sake, this is a guy who only... And this is actually a quotation from the film. Mm-hmm. I've only ever felt kinship with Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
So why the hell are you being such a pussy after killing a few million people?
Yeah, exactly. The way that he played Ozymandias, Matthew Good, was very similar to Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
The way they talked, there was that real kind of heavy, sorrowful... You know, when you read the comic book, Adrian Veidt is always grinning.
Yeah.
He's always smiling. He's, standing with his chest out, big grin on his face. There's none of that in this film. He's always like downtrodden and the weight of the world on my shoulders.
No, I'd argue that. There's a couple of points.
I didn't like that.
There's a couple of points in his office, and that's how I wish he played the character throughout. Especially when he's talking to the businessman, and he's just like, "I could buy you a company 3 times over." Yeah,
well, that's when the character shines through, but. There's just those moments, and it needed to be like that the whole way through.
Yeah.
You know who we've forgotten to mention? The comedian.
Oh yeah.
Of course. Ooh, what about him?
It's a difficult one. I think the big scene that he had to really make and break himself was obviously when he shoots a pregnant woman. And I only got, for the first half of that, just after he did it, there wasn't anything there. The second half, it was almost like a line by line thing. Like it was like, we'll take it from that cut, we'll take it from that cut. Like, I don't give a shit. It's all your fault, Manhattan. I feel so bad about what I've done.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of those interpretations are not valid. All those interpretations are valid. But to have them going on at the same time,
yeah.
No, it didn't really work.
I think he really got the menace of the character, and also
Definitely.
the regret, because he regrets so much of what he's done. He regrets the fact that he can't see his daughter, and he regrets the fact that he never had a family.
I did not like the emphasis on that subplot. I did not.
But it's in the comic book.
There's barely any slow-mo.
I think any bits that you do see any slow-mo, it works brilliantly because it's that kind of like comic book thing.
It adds weight to things. This film has very slow pacing. If you haven't read the comic book, don't go to this film expecting balls to the wall action, because that's not what this film is. This film should be viewed as a detective film. It's quite slow, and it takes its time to build up. The fact that the fight scenes have a kind of weight and slow motion, that kind of weight and impact and gravity to them, means that they fit in with the whole theme of the film. Because you don't want an hour of long, ponderous dialogue, and then action, slow dialogue, action. You don't want that.
I think while we're talking about the pacing, this is something I brought up straight away. The first, I'd say probably about 20 minutes, I felt were really poorly paced.
I disagree with you.
Yeah, this is going to be. I think this is going to be a big argument between us two. Where you guys are.
We'll come to blows on this one, folks.
We already have. I don't know. I like the pacing of Dan walking into the apartment, and you think, "Oh, he's the next victim."
Yeah.
And then
in fact, we went to the cinema with people who haven't read the comic book, and they agreed that in that scene, if you don't know the story, it seems like Dan is about to get killed.
Yeah, and I think that works brilliantly.
Yeah, that does work.
It's a nice little add-on, but I still think the pacing. I think it really kicked off. It stopped being as clunky at the funeral scene, but when you get to Mars, you just realise it's in full power. It's moving as pace it should be. The look. I think one of the things is you can't take some of those costumes and put it into a film and take it seriously.
No.
it adds also another layer of, it goes for the stereotypical costumes.
Yeah, exactly. All of the costumes are complete stereotypes. One thing that I want to say, and this is a minor flaw, this is a total nitpick, but it bothered me. And this is not, as you pointed out, this is probably not because of Zack Snyder, it's because of American film regulations. I missed all of the cool futuristic cigarettes that they have in the comic book, because those things look amazing.